we're gonna go LSU right now, and feel free to chime in at any point. Otherwise, I'm just gonna rip off a bunch of stuff here. And by the way, we have Phil Steele's book, not available on newsstands, I don't believe, until July 4th. But I did the VIP thing, paid $5 extra, and got it early. So here we are.
You've got a poster of Phil Steele shirtless somewhere in your house.
No,
He's got the
no,
Magnum shorts and
no.
the Detroit Tigers hat.
No. He's an Ohio guy. He'd probably have a Cleveland Browns hat on or a Buckeye hat. All right. So national unit rankings via Phil Steele, which, like I always say,
John Holmes is one.
Um, so, I'm not saying Phil Steele's national unit rankings are. I'm not saying I agree with all of them or anything of that nature, but I'll share them nonetheless.
It's
He's
the
got
one
a
you've consistently used. So I
yeah,
mean, stay on that baseline. It's like I'm not saying Joey Brackett's may not be the best one, but as long as the one you consistently use, it then gives you a baseline of comparison.
sure. All right, so he's got LSU number 2 at the quarterback position, number 12 at running back, number 3 at wide receiver. But here, as Jay alluded to a minute ago, number 43 on the O line, whereas he had 2 first-round picks at the tackle positions last year. Number 22 on the D line, so not elite in the trenches, not bad on the defensive side, but not elite. Number 11 at linebacker, number 28 in the secondary, and number 35 on special teams. All right, the recruiting class, number 7 overall, but most important, number 1 in the transfer specific group. 41 commits, 2 5-stars, 31 4-stars, 18 total transfers, 16 from Power 4 programs, 12 of the 18, so that's 66.7%. You like that math? Are 4-star transfers. They finished 9-4 straight up last year and 5-8 against the spread. They went 3-1 in one possession games. So they had, they lost by 15 at A&M. They lost by 29 at home to Bama, and they lost by 11 at Florida. They were, or offensively, they averaged 30.5 points per game. Defensively, 24.3 points per game. They were plus 873 in net yardage, but they were -3 in turnover margin, even though Nussmeier had a 29-12 TDI-INT ratio. So obviously they were fumbling and they were not turning other teams over very often. In fact, I see only 3 interceptions, which I'm going to assume was an SEC low. All right, so out of the 4-star transfers, I'm going to rip these guys off, and then I'll give the betting numbers, and then we'll get some Jay's thoughts. Okay, 4-star transfer, safety AJ Hawley from Houston, first team All Big 12 last year, 74 tackles, 5 interceptions, 8 passes broken up. Cornerback Mansour Delane, second team All ACC last year. He's got 29 career starts, 146 career tackles, 16 passes broken up, 8 TFLs, 6 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. Wide receiver Barryon Brown, who we all know, 3 years at Kentucky, 25 starts, 122 career catches, 1,528 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's got 195 career rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 6.7 yards per carry average. In 2023, he was 6th in the SEC in all-purpose yards and number 1 in the nation in average yards per kick return, 36 with 3 touchdowns. His 5 career kick returns for touchdowns are number 1 all time in SEC history and number 11 in NCAA history. So Brown gives them a pop on special teams and at the receiver position. Offensive guard Josh Thompson, 21 career starts at Northwestern. He's going to start at offensive guard. Wide receiver Nick Anderson for Oklahoma. He was out for the season with an injury in week 1 last year, but as a redshirt freshman in 2023, 38 catches, 798 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Defensive tackle Bernard Gooden, South Florida last year, 35 tackles, 10 TFLs, 1.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. Edge rusher Patrick Payton from Florida State, 26 career starts in the last 3 years, 110 career tackles, 32 TFLs, 16 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 12 QB hurries. Edge rusher Jack Pyburn from Florida, last year 8 starts and 60 tackles. Their new starting center is going to be Braylon Moore, who has 24 career starts at Virginia Tech as a true freshman and a sophomore, so he's a rising junior. And so they're strong on the inside with this Vatek transfer and the Josh Thompson kid from Northwestern. And they're moving DJ Chester, who started 13 games for LSU at center last year. They're moving him to guard, and Braylon Moore is going to play center, the transfer from Va Tech. They also added a 3-star transfer and backup QB Michael Van Buren, who started 8 games at Mississippi State last year as a true freshman. If I'm not mistaken, his first 2 career starts were at Texas and at Georgia. And that's when you're with the worst SEC team and you start your career as a true freshman in those 2 venues, and they actually easily covered in both games and were pretty competitive. He had 11-7 TDI-INT ratio and 5 rushing touchdowns, but wasn't surrounded by a lot. So I think that's a quality backup QB. All right, the betting numbers. FanDuel, season win total 8.5, over -130, under +106. LSU is 17-1 odds to win the CFP, plus 170 odds to have at least 10 regular season wins, plus 750 to win the SEC championship game, 15-1 odds to go undefeated, and Nussmeier, plus 800 to win the Heisman, second shortest odds behind Arch. All right. Any thoughts?
Okay, let's that Nussmeier number is nuts. That guy's not going to win a Heisman. He doesn't run enough. I mean, Brian Kelly's not going to turn him loose. I mean, in this day and age, you're going to have to play the part as much as playing the position. And yeah, your quarterbacks are your front runners, but there's no way I would bet. I'm going to need plus 2,800 more than plus 800 to bet Nussmeier to win the Heisman. Look, I love what they did in the portal. And you rightly spent some time there on our boy Barryon Brown, who's not Josh Hubbard or Diego Pavia, but he's in that next room over on guys we really like that don't play for our teams in this league. They added a lot, but that you didn't even touch on who's one, 2 things. Will Campbell, who feels like he had been there blocking for Jacob Hester, for God's sakes, is gone, and the leadership and the discipline in the locker room is now going to fall on Nussmeier. Are they going to respond? Is he up to that? That's a big deal. 2, when they needed a play, especially in that really enjoyable game at South Carolina last year.
Yeah, it was a hell of a game.
They're going to need somebody to fill Mason Taylor's shoes, because I think Mason Taylor's going to be a great NFL player.
Yeah.
As a tight end, he's big, he's athletic, he was reliable. He found ways to get open in the middle. It's LSU, man. They're going to have a first-round dude running patterns, whether that's Nick Anderson, whether that's Barryon Brown, whether that's somebody else we hadn't even mentioned yet. But
and let me mention him. Aaron Anderson, 61 catches, 884 yards, 5 touchdowns. He is back for his junior season. Sorry, go ahead.
So I referenced earlier that Nussmeier is not – that's just a testament to the guys they lost, including Mason Taylor. Not saying the guys that they have brought in, they're just going to have to develop the chemistry, and which is job number one for a lot of the coordinators these days in the portal era. You have to, and you have to be able to do it on the run because, I mean, you mentioned it, man. Did you say they've got 41 newcomers on the roster?
Yep.
From portal and recruiting, and 31 of them are 4 or 5 stars. I mean,
31 4 stars, 2 5 stars.
So it's an infusion of talent. It's a talented crew. There is no debating that. And here's the biggest question for me, and we can break down position groups and we'll go game by game in the schedule. Is Brian Kelly ready for this? Because
he better be. He
damn well better be. Because 8-4 ain't cutting squat in Red Stick this year.
Nope. I hear you. I did not mention Whit Weeks, third-team All-American linebacker, who is back after 125 tackles, 10 TFLs.
I don't want to fight that guy.
Yeah, 3.5 sacks. And by the way, here's the guys taking over at offensive tackle, or at least this is who and Phil Steele talks to all these head coaches. He talks to them for like an hour because he tweets it out. Just talk to Brian Kelly for an hour or whoever, whatever the coach's name. So Kelly was obviously feeding him this. The starting right tackle is going to be Weston Davis, who was a true freshman last year. He played 4 games, but he redshirted. So a redshirt freshman is starting at one tackle. And Tyree Adams, a sophomore, okay, he had 2 starts, in 8 games he played last year as a redshirt freshman. So not much experience at the tackle positions. Now, one of the 5-star guys was the incoming freshman Solomon Thomas, who I'm guessing is an offensive tackle. He was not in for the spring though. So that puts him behind. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll end up getting one of those jobs, but I doubt it'll be week 1 at Clemson. And I also failed to mention Caden Durham, who had a breakout true freshman season. I like this kid a lot. He really impressed me in the aforementioned South Carolina game. 753 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns, 5.4 yards per carry average. So he's going to be a stud.
Well, he is a stud. And he's that 5'7", 5'8", compact, 200 pounds, where he looks much bigger because he's just so short. That, man, he'd be a load to tackle. Did you also fail to mention Harold Perkins is back?
Oh, yeah. And he would not have been back, but he had a season-ending injury last year. So, I mean, he's been an All-American at least once, maybe even twice.
And I'm buddies with a couple of guys, especially a couple of regulars at the 5 at 10, which I write for Times Free Press every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. You can find it on our website. Who are big LSU fans. And they are pissed that they've now tried to turn Harold Perkins. It's like what they did with the Arden Key in some ways of trying to turn him into a read and react linebacker.
Right.
Harold, quarterback, get him.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't understand that. I did, and that's we talked about that last week, how they should have won the national championship game, Jaden Daniels senior year, and they had him in coverage. And that's terrible. Now, I will mention they did improve a little bit last year defensively. They went from giving up 28 that year with Jaden to giving up 24.3 points per game with Blake Baker, who they hired away from Missouri and made him the highest paid assistant in college football. But they need to improve on that a lot more. That's not 24.3 points per game is not a vintage LSU defense at all.
Well, and you touched on it in the number crunch that started this LSU segment. I mean, 24 points per game, allowing that, yes, an improvement. Yes, probably top half of the league. But if you're not getting after the quarterback and you're not forcing interceptions with the dudes you've got in that secondary in Red Stick, that's a schematic problem as much as it is just bad breaks. I mean, yeah, turnovers come and go and they come in waves. But you got to do things to create pressure to help generate turnovers or at least turnover chances.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now where they ranked in the SEC in sacks. Where's sacks? Where's sacks? Dadgummit. Oh, here it is. All right. They ranked 7th in sacks last year with 34. Ole Miss had 52 sacks last year. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Who else? Well, let's see. Who else have we not mentioned before we get into the schedule? All right, Bauer Sharp looks like he's going to start at tight end. He started 12 games at Oklahoma last year, 324 receiving yards, and Jacobian Guillory. Let me see who all is in Phil Steele's preseason SEC team. So Whit Weeks is a first team preseason all SEC pick. Perkins is a second team pick. AJ Halsey, the transfer from Houston, is a third team pick. And
Brian, you're muted again.
Caden Durham is a third team all SEC running back. And that's the list right there. Let's go to the schedule.
Let's do it.
All right. Most books have LSU as a 3-point underdog at Clemson. I mean, I marked it a swing game, but right now I lean Clemson, especially considering that Brian Kelly is 0-3 in season openers, and they have not won a season opener since Joe Burrow in 2019. That they have lost 5 straight season openers.
This is a real home game or a real road game, right?
Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, it's in the other Death Valley.
This is a loss.
I think so too.
It's the battle of the Tigers and the battle for who gets to say Death Valley until they ever meet again.
Yes, I think Clemson's going to win that game.
I do too.
So 0-1. We'll both give them a dub against La Tech at home to go 1-1. I think they're going to beat Florida. They're a 7-point favorite. It won't be easy though. We haven't won in Red Stick in a minute.
Yeah.
Or two.
You and I are on the same spot. And as we go game by game, Brian Kelly, last year, after the disappointing year, finished 8-4. And as you mentioned, a couple of really one-sided losses. He was among those guys who paid the loser's tax and wrote $1 million check to the LSU NIL collective. So he understands that 8-4 wasn't. He also needs to write the grateful tax check to the SEC schedule maker, because you get no Auburn, and I'm not saying Auburn's a world beater, but that game's always a dogfight, no matter where it is. You get no Auburn, you get no Georgia, you get no Texas, and you better make some noise on this schedule, Brian Kelly.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know who Southeastern is. That's all it says. I guess it's Southeastern Louisiana, and they dropped the LA, the real LA. Is the real LA Louisiana or Lower Alabama? This is a good question.
Well, it's for us, of course, it's Lower Alabama.
Okay. All right, 3-1 with the win over Southeastern LA. Okay, they are a 1.5-point underdog currently at DraftKings at Ole Miss in week 5, but I think they're going to win this game.
I do too. I think that Lane Kiffin will have the more talented quarterback, but Brian Kelly will have the more experienced quarterback to handle that moment. And your diatribe of praise for Caden Durham was completely spot on. I think he stays healthy with the way you've got to defend a first-round quarterback in one of the 10 best wide receiver rooms in the country. You're talking about a guy who could very well lead the SEC in rushing.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. He
Even
sure
with
can.
the pieces they've got to replace across the offensive line. Because nobody can put more than 7 in the box against an LSU team as long as the offensive coordinator is not the guy that McCarty and Silverman killed in Weekend at Bernie's. As long as he's got a pulse, then you put 7+ in the box consistently. Hey, hello, post, go, crosser.
Yep. Yes. So that gets LSU to 4-1. Hey, they bounced back from the season opening loss to USC with 6 wins last year. Then they get South Carolina at home. Both teams have 2 weeks to prepare, and I got Go Tigers.
Yeah. How about them Tigers?
5-1. All
Yes.
right. Then at Vandy. Vandy has 2 weeks to prepare. Tough game. Closer than the experts think. But LSU wins by a field goal.
Here's the other thing about that. That's going to be a borderline home game. Do you remember the last time LSU played at Vandy? They sold out a beer before halftime. And then they brought in a new beer truck, and all you could see, the pictures on social media, were nothing but purple and gold fans helping this guy carry kegs into the concession stands. This will be at least 60% purple and gold in Nashville.
That was 2019. Florida and Auburn were kicking off at 3:30 Eastern. Vandy and LSU were the noon game. And because I wasn't going to be watching that game, I hammered LSU in the first quarter. And then I was going to the Swamp to tailgate. Of course, Burrow goes and scores a touchdown, but Vandy answered. And I think it was -7.5 in the first quarter. And I think it was 14-7 at the end of the first quarter. I remember I lost and I was in a foul mood, but that foul mood did not last long.
Well, hey, it's nothing a couple of butt heavies can't cure, brother.
That's right, absolutely. And a win over Auburn. And that was their only trip to the Swamp. And like,
hey, I've been to the Swamp to see Auburn play.
Yeah, we used to play there every other year. Yeah.
1994. It's a pretty good game.
October 15th. Bo Nix's daddy to Frank
Sanders was his name.
Frank Sanders that was in the southeast corner of the end zone. Yes, I remember.
Frank Sanders had a sneaky, amazing year that year. I'm not talking just about football because he played left field for the Auburn baseball team that went to Omaha.
Did not know that. That's stories by Jay. All right, so 6-1, right? So they win 6 in a row, just like after losing the season opener last year. However, I think they keep it going, and DraftKings has them -5.5 at home to A&M. I got that a W.
I do too. And we're talking about a team because I think at this point Clemson's going to be undefeated in top 3 in the country, and I think you're looking at LSU top 5 in the country.
Yep. And then another open date for both teams, and it is at Alabama, which DraftKings opened at Alabama -7 and is now 6.5. I like LSU +6.5. Outright is tough. What are you going to do?
I'm going to give this to Alabama at home, but there's no way in hell this is one of those games that I would never even fathom playing an early line. Because unless you like LSU, because at this point, the Kalen DeBoer bus could be really losing some loosening lug nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm thinking this line's going to be less than 6.5, which is why I recommend playing it.
That's why I say if you like LSU, go ahead and get it now.
Right.
But I'm just because things tend to break crazy in T-Town, I'm going to give Alabama the win here in our schedule breakdown. If you want to bet on LSU and you disagree with me about who you think wins, go ahead and grab that 6.5 now because there's a very real chance. I don't think LSU, that schedule, all right, maybe you slip up at Ole Miss, but the rest of your tests are at home.
Yeah.
At no worse do they come in here at anything worse than 6-2.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to they play at Oklahoma in their regular season finale. I'm going to say they're going to go 1-1 and split those two.
Okay.
And then they have Arkansas and Western Kentucky at home, and I presume you think those are dubs.
Yes, I do.
So we both got LSU 10-2, and that'll be enough to go to the CFP.
It'll only be enough to go to CFP. The LSU over 8.5 is probably on the short list of my favorite plays in this league.
Now that we've gone through the schedule, I agree. I don't know that it's my favorite, but I like it, and I'm going to play it.
I said among my favorite plays there.
Oh, right on. Yeah. Okay.
Come on now. Don't be my English teacher.
I wasn't scolding the pick. I wasn't trying to scold the pick at all. I like the pick. So now let me ask you this. Seeing as how we both have them in the CFP, is 17-1 to win it worth a nibble, maybe?
It's worth a nibble. What did you say the number was? Are you getting plus money for them to make the CFP?
You know what? I guess I did not. Let me grab that number. I guess I did not write that number down. But I can get it real quick. So, all right.
While you're digging that up, I'm going to give you another one I like, and this is from your boys at Vegas Insider. You can find LSU plus 1,000 to win the SEC. Because we both think they're at 10-2 with one of those losses being at Clemson. That's going to get you to Alabama. That's going to get you to Atlanta.
Okay, I'm not seeing odds to make the CFP at FanDuel. They may have it elsewhere, but I'm not seeing it at FanDuel. I think so I'm going to play over 8.5 minus 130, and I'm just a baby play on 17-1 to win it all. Because now again, and you mentioned it early in the show, the O-line does concern me a little bit. Especially the tackle positions. But I mean, everywhere else they're solid. They're not as elite as they normally are on D-line, and maybe not as good in the secondary as they have been. But I mean, I like those transfers they got. I mean, a second-team All-ACC guy from Virginia Tech, a first-team All-Big 12 guy, and then Jordan Gilbert, their other starting safety. I mean, he was at LSU last year, and he was their fourth leading tackler. Only had one interception, but anyhow.